and all, and I suppose the Book of Face and the Tube of You didn't want to quite grind the gears together today, so it took a little longer to get online, but good morning. We, I believe, are now finally online, just a tad late, for the late morning show. Elevensies with Lisa and Anton.
Of course, my hair is doing crazy things.
Well, you know, you keep saying you're a little bit crazy, so it's perfectly okay to have crazy hair, isn't it? Crazy hair and an itchy snitch. Who could ask for more? It's
all good. Well, yes, I'm a little crazy, so it's okay that my hair is crazy.
There you go. So we're the consummate professionals, of course, as you do. So yeah, it's Magickal Moonday, and if you're joining us, do say hello, and we'll chime in first and say hello back if everything's working. It's reassuring to know that things are working.
Well, I have one viewer.
Well, welcome, viewer. You've got the program all to yourself right now. How about that? That's pretty cool going. No, we'll answer back to you, but we're working on our new format now. So part of this presentation today is going to be an Astrology 101.
Hi, Brenda.
Which we're going to make as a separate program and put it up all by itself. So during that fun segment of it, we're not going to be overly interactive. So you might be saying something that is so hilariously funny or so monumentally important, it deserves immediate attention. But we're not going to ignore you. But we're not going to respond to you either.
We'll talk to you later when we get to the interacting thing.
It will be fine. It will be fine. Right. So if you are joining us, because I'm not seeing anybody on the Tube of You, which is a little odd, to be perfectly honest. Maybe now. I think I had to tweak it to get the notifications to work. I think sometimes
it's all a mystery, I think. And they change the rules all the time.
Yes, there are no rules, apart from the ones that we've just made up. No, aren't we? Listen, if you are watching us on the Tube of You, whoever you are, even if you've never chimed in before, if you just lurk, just say hi very quickly, so I know it's working, because I'm not convinced. I see things, I see us, but I'm not seeing anything other than that right now, which is odd. So do chime in if you're there. Otherwise, I'm beginning to think we're not working. Which would not be good. What is the point in doing this if we're not actually working?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Well, is it recording, we wonder?
It's going to record to the card,
all right.
Whatever.
Well, today is Magickal Moonday.
It is.
So I thought we'd start by talking about the current action of the moon.
Why not? So where is the moon today?
The moon, right at this moment, is 6 degrees Cancer.
Ah.
All right.
Thought to be on home then, maybe.
And Cancer is a very healing, nurturing sign. Good morning, Pam. And I don't know if people remember that I said it takes the moon about 60 hours to transit a sign. Now, the word transit means what you would think it means, right? If you were driving home and somebody said, they text you and they said, I called your house and you're not home, you might say, I'm in transit, right? So moving, transit, changing places.
To make a Ford van as well, interesting.
Called a transit van, yeah. So the moon is transiting or moving through the sign of Cancer. And it's at 6 degrees, and it'll take about 60 hours or around 2.5 days. Right? Because 48 hours would be 2 days.
Yes.
And half a day is 12 hours more. So
yeah,
2.5
hours
days.
Is 3. So yeah, not 3 days.
So it's about
but
60 hours for the moon to make it into Leo. Right? So we're at 6 degrees. We've got to get all the way to 30 degrees, 29, 59, and then go into Leo. All right. So moon in Cancer, you're going to be focused a little more on emotions and thoughts and processing feelings and things like that. So we spoke last week on Magickal Moonday.
We did.
About the moon in different signs, right? Remember, that was like our little segment for Magickal Moonday last week. So now in astrology, those 12 signs also work with or govern the houses. So when you get a natal chart, it's going to be like a pie cut into 12 pieces,
Mm.
right? And those 12 pieces are called houses. And the houses have jobs too.
Right.
Right? So we're going to go now into our segment.
Little Astrology
where
101 segment. So if you do join in now, I'm not going to say, oh, thank you for letting us know we're working, because I'm not convinced we're working on YouTube right now. So I'm just not. I've edited the stream twice, and ostensibly we're there. So I just nobody's. It's unlike it for nobody to be there.
Well,
anyway,
maybe it's like the other day where they said they were there and you couldn't see them for whatever reason.
oh, maybe that's it. Maybe I'm ghosting people, or maybe people are ghosting me.
Well, we could guess that it's like Gilda and Wendy and Savannah and
Shana.
yeah.
Sparky.
Yeah, there you go.
If you're all watching, good morning to you.
We just
I'm sure
can't
you're
see
probably
you.
there, but yeah, for some obscure reason, it's just so not working right. Anyway, so if you do chime in now, thank you, but we're gonna do our little bit.
All right.
So welcome to our Astrology 101, and today you've got a great plan, is it? With something to do with the moon in houses. What does it all mean?
Right. This is our next segment on the moon placement. So we have spoken in another segment about the moon in the signs, like if you have a Leo moon or a Capricorn moon, and how that might have you work emotionally.
Right, how it comes in. Check out that video, how that affects your emotions. It's kind of interesting. And we do put this little caveat. We do try to insult every single one of the signs. And if we haven't fully insulted you yet, you stick around and we'll get there eventually.
Right.
No, seriously. There's good and bad in every sign.
There is. There's always a balance, a light and a shadow. So in your natal chart, and that's your birth chart, it's called natal chart, it gives us the rising sign or the constellation that was on the horizon, Horus, the sun god,
Horoscope.
that was on the horizon at the time of your birth. So you have a 1 in 12 chance of having any one of the signs be the sign on the door to your first house. Oh gosh, what are houses?
What are houses? Right. Well, we live in one.
Houses are segments of the natal chart. So it depends on how you run the chart, how they are divided. But basically the circle that is your natal chart, the 360-degree circumference of this natal chart print, will be divided into 12 segments. Whether they're equal or not is another whole different discussion. We're not going to talk about that.
Right.
This is just an Astrology 101 basic. So whatever time you were born will calculate what constellation was on the horizon when you were born. Horizon, Horus, sun, kind of thing. And then the houses go around in astrological order from there. Right? So that's one of the first things we should help ourselves to learn astrology is to learn Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, and Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces.
We'll put up a little graphic for this so you can see, but if we've just divided the circle, the zodiac, circle of animals, into 12 equal slices, and you start on the horizon, which is
9 o'clock.
Yeah, thereabouts. And then you go backwards because the Earth rotates anti-clockwise, doesn't it? Or clockwise. The Earth rotates clockwise, so it appears to go backwards. Well, you go anti-clockwise around to count your houses. No. You don't go clockwise. Your first house is below, isn't it? And it goes this way. It does.
Okay.
Just because we people who are used to looking at clocks go, oh, it goes clockwise.
No, I'm sorry. When you said you go backwards, I thought you were meant that if Aries was your first house, Pisces would be your second.
No. You go the right way round, but it is anti-clockwise in the direction that you read.
Okay. So the first thing you should do to help yourself understand this is to learn the progression of the signs, right? Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and that's the order. So if you have Aries as your first house, Pisces is your 12th house, right? So this is how the houses are governed, right? In other words, it doesn't matter what sign was on the horizon when you were born. The first house is the house of Aries. Even if you have Cancer on the first house, right? So when we teach our astrology class, we go a little deeper into the understanding of this. But for now, what we're going to talk about is the moon through the houses, right? Because we all have some understanding of our sun sign, right? We know that I'm an Aquarius, Anton is a Leo, those are opposite signs, and we know a little bit about our expression through the sun, through the light, right? And if you don't, please do take the astrology class, or later on we'll have a video for the Sun 101. All right. So now the sun and the moon are both known as luminaries.
Ah, yes.
And the sun expresses our outward energy. But the moon is the hidden luminary, right? It talks about our deeper self, our emotional self, our kind of psychic self, our things that we like to kind of keep hidden.
The stuff in the shadows. Perhaps.
Right. And it's how we work emotionally, how we process and how we express. So when you look at your natal chart, one of those 12 segments is going to have a crescent moon in it. And that crescent moon means that's where the moon was when you were born.
The time of your birth.
So we know that in a month's time,
keep going.
I think I'm going to pause and just let that finish ringing, and then we can cut this bit out. No?
All right, that's your wish. It's fine, but then we're just going to be stuffed chickens. We'll be stuffed chickens, and
no, we're not going to be stuffed chickens. But we don't want that ringing in the background of our 101, do we?
Okay, whatever. So we need a studio.
All right. So
pick it up from where you left off. Exactly.
All right. So the moon takes about 60 days to move through a sign, so that we know a sun sign is about 30 days long. So again, just because your sun is in one particular sign doesn't mean your moon is in the same sign. Your moon can be in any one of the 12 signs, just like the sun, depending on when you were born. So, depending on your rising sign, it places your moon in a house. So you look at your natal chart for that crescent moon glyph, like I had said earlier, and you're going to see next to it a sign, and that'll tell you what sign the moon is in. But it will also show you what segment or what house your moon is in. So the last 101 about the moon through the signs, you've got that. Now, where is that? Right?
The house.
What house? What kind of energy is the governor or the ruler or the dictator, I suppose?
Influence over that particular sphere of influence or whatever.
All right. So no matter what sign is on your first house, no matter what your rising sign is, that house is seen as the house of self. So if you have moon in the first house, you might be a little selfish.
Self-obsessed.
A little selfish.
Maybe a tad narcissistic.
But you also might be very good at connecting to and exploring your own emotions. But it doesn't mean you will share them unless you share them in a burst, right? So you might...
Martian expression.
Yeah, you might be like, okay, I understand what they meant, and I've got it like that, and I can just internalize it for just so long, and then you might explode. That's moon in the first house.
Could be.
So the second house, or the second segment, tells us what you value. And sometimes this moon placement can make a person very sentimental.
Nostalgic.
And they get very attached to items.
Stuff.
And they might be a little extra careful with money.
Frugal.
Not necessarily stingy, but very careful with their money.
Yeah, I can see that.
The third house is the house of communication. And these people with moon in the third house tend to be, they gesticulate. Their emotions come out. They communicate.
So everybody from Italy has the moon in the third house.
No. But they communicate with their whole body. Moon in the third house.
I remember once driving, and I think, how do Italians drive? Because they're gesticulating with both hands. How are you steering the car? Anyway.
However, moon in the third house does make a good healer because they understand what's being communicated from another person. Right? The fourth house is called the house of home, like you were saying. When the moon is in the fourth house, it's in its native house. All right. But that can sometimes create a hoarder mentality because they want to keep everything and they want their home just so.
Precious things.
Yeah. But they're also fantastic nurturers. Moon in the fourth house is the natural nurturer, or the one who mothers. The fifth house is the house of fame. So this person is going to be very dramatic. They need to be seen. So, they might...
I live for it. My public.
Right. So if you have moon in the fifth house, you might be very up for emotional roles within family structure or, however that goes. The sixth house is the house of service. So this moon placement might open you to being a social worker or a therapist, or among your friends, the advisor. Right? Yeah, everybody will come to you for their...
for counsel, frankly. Yeah, because you're good at it. Very analytical, And...
Moon in the seventh house. The seventh house is the house of partnerships. So moon in the seventh house is going to seek a partner that can meet their emotional needs.
My needs have been
right.
met.
So moon in the seventh house is going to be a person who finds it difficult to meet their own emotional needs. They need that sounding board. They need that balancing
influence.
Energy. Yep.
Yes.
Moon in the eighth house. The eighth house is the psychic house and the house of the occult. No matter what sign the moon is in, if the moon is in the eighth house, this person is very psychic.
It's also the house of sex, death, and stabby things.
Well, okay. All right. The ninth house is the house of travel. So the ninth house moon placement is somebody who probably can connect to past life understanding and have an emotional connection to places and things that maybe they've never been, but they really love. They have these emotional connections to other places.
That'd be the classic person I work 10% better outdoors.
There you go.
Considerably better than 10%, probably.
The 10th house is the house of career. So this is where you find, believe it or not, the actor, because they have control of their emotions. They can use that to their advantage, and they also know how exactly to express themselves. So if you have 10th house moon, you've got those emotions in check. You might even appear cold, but it's not so much cold as it is calculated. All right.
How quintessentially Capricorn.
Yes. The 11th house is the house of friendship. So if you have an 11th house moon, you seek diverse groups to belong to, right? You might have your mom's group. You might have, a high magic group. You might have a
Crochet and high magic would probably fit well together to you, wouldn't it?
But you probably have different people that you are very close to in very diverse, different, like here's my EMT group, here's my crochet group, here's my high magic group, here's my, friends from school, whatever it is. There's a diverse
Fluffy
energy.
Cats group.
Yeah. And then the 12th house is probably the most difficult placement for the moon. It is the house of self-undoing. And if you have your moon in the 12th house, you may not have control of your emotions. You may overthink. You may be ridden with anxiety. And you don't have control of your emotions.
You may suffer from martyr syndrome. You may. Yeah. It's I love the way, if you know, as Lisa was saying at the start, if you can learn your progression of the signs and you understand what the core value, if you will, and just like distill down into a few little things, and you put that into that house, you can see how those core values translate to that sphere of influence, if you will, within your chart. And it's the wonderful thing about a natal chart is it's unique. It really is unique. It's a snapshot of where everything was.
Like a Polaroid.
Like this Polaroid, this 360-degree Polaroid.
And it's more unique to you than your thumbprint.
It's it is. There's so much moving, especially when we get into the odd little bits and bobs. But we're not going there today, But there's so much moving within your chart that to get that snapshot, because it's what you have to understand. We see from where we're standing.
Every second it changes.
Yep, we see from where we're standing, and you understand that if you're standing somewhere or you were born in a different part of the earth, it might be ostensibly exactly the same time, but you have a different view of the heavens in that location, because the earth itself is turning. We have to think about that. So that snapshot is going to be different. And a perfect example of this, and we were talking about this in the last 101 we did, which is the moon placement, where your moon is
what
and how you react.
What sign the moon is in.
Yeah, what sign your moon is in. And I was born, obviously in England, and the guy who's the same age as me, same birthday, same year, very close to the same time, in fact, his moon placement was different because he was born several thousand miles away.
5 hours different.
Yeah. So
it's a lot of minutes.
Yes.
A lot of seconds.
And it changed that. And it's you can see that marker in an individual, how that works. And it's a lot of people poo-poo astrology.
But we talk about that in our astrology class. We talk about how twins can be so different.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things can change in a very short period of time. All right. So I think that's the moon through the houses.
That's the moon through the houses. And as I said, we'll pop some infographics in there so you can get the hang of it. Hopefully we did that. As if by an act of magic, it happened. So hello, thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Hello to Jen. Hello to
Thank you, Brenda.
Karen.
At least it is
Hey,
working, but I don't think it's working for many people unless we're just fallen out of popularity
how
the
bizarre.
second time today.
All right. So every morning I do a prayer at our altar in the bedroom, and I pull a personal card of the day. And today it was the 7 of Pentacles. Now this is a different deck. This is our giant deck that we pull a card of the day for the group. And it's the 7 of Pentacles. So it's not Tarot Talk Tuesday.
It's not.
It's just a quick little reading about this card. So what I'm going to say to you is, Moon is in Cancer. Patience will be your virtue, right? So use this energy today to parent things in a positive way, right? Instead of raising your voice and yelling, explain, take the time, and try not to be a reckless force today. Try to be the patient gardener.
Well, you call it the patient gardener. I always call this the constant gardener. It is just doing simply what's necessary. There's no major, state secrets here. You don't have to be an absolute chuffing genius. You don't have to kill yourself trying. This is just do what's necessary. Take your time and it'll all sort itself out. It's so long as you do what's necessary. And that's it. It's just, are the needs being met? Are you doing what's necessary? And getting bent out of shape, getting impatient, hanging on to the crops going, come on, you bugger, grow, isn't going to make it grow. It's going to harm it, So, yeah, just chill and just do what's necessary and look what happens. It's a great, great card, this. Look what happens,
all right.
all by itself. So,
have a wonderful day. Enjoy
yes.
that Cancer moon energy.
Yeah.
Doubt we'll see you later today. We are really behind it. And remember that tomorrow evening at 7, we're going to have our Facebook Live with Courtney Weber and Joe Ladaddy and launch our Hecate statue. So we'll see you tomorrow.
I got to find time to make all that happen.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much for watching
be.
us. Have an amazingly wonderful day. Do please like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends all about it.